This is Tim Bryce with my column titled, Understanding Nationalism. I find the vilification of nationalism to be appalling. It is being depicted as some sort of fascist, racist, unpatriotic institution. The reality is, nothing could be further from the truth. It is being characterized as such because it doesn't fit in with the progressive socialist agenda, nor other global developments such as climate change, immigration, and defense. President Trump embraced the concept as part of his America First initiative, which is one reason why Democrats find it offensive. But it is also being embraced in Europe by the Brexit movement in the United Kingdom, Poland, Hungary, Germany, and France. This explains why French President Emmanuel Macron recently made the claim, quote, nationalism is a betrayal of patriotism, end quote, as he views it as a threat to his presidency and the European Union. As just about anyone who has visited the country can tell you, France is one of the most nationalistic countries in terms of its culture and language. You either fit into their way of thinking or get out. Mr. Macron also suggested the development of a separate army to defend itself against China, Russia, and the United States. This is an insult, as America has come to the aid of Europe not just once, but several times over the last 100 years, both militarily and economically. German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who will not seek re-election following her term of office, also attacked nationalism by warning against destructive isolationism. She went on to say, quote, we know that most of the challenges and threats of today can no longer be solved by one nation alone, but only if we act together, end quote. I couldn't agree more. But why is nationalism detrimental to this cause? In reality, it is not. People like Mr. Macron and Mrs. Merkel would have us believe we must all work together in a concerted effort, be it for the environment, immigration, health, and defense. This is all well and good, but what happens when there is a difference of opinion and a country is asked to implement something in sharp contrast to their beliefs? In the case of Brexit, you withdraw from the European Union. In the case of President Trump, you withdraw from the Paris Climate Control Accord, the Iranian peace deal, you move your embassy to Jerusalem over European objections, and you inform your friends you will no longer pick up the check for their activities, especially when we get nothing in return. For many years, I taught and consulted in the area of corporate culture. All companies, large and small, have a culture, a way of operating based on their values and perspectives. Not all companies think or act alike. In fact, the differences may be very pronounced. Also, within a corporate culture, there may be a subculture, a clique or group of people, such as a department, exhibiting distinctly different characteristics. Such groups may be allowed to operate so long as they do not violate the norms of the overall culture. Those embracing globalization would have us believe there is one corporate culture. Yes, there may be subcultures exhibiting minor differences, but all are expected to conform to the overall culture. This is what Macron and Merkel support. Those embracing nationalism see the world as a group of separate cultures with some similarities allowing them to work cooperatively on mutually beneficial projects. This means each culture is sovereign and is responsible for managing their own affairs. If they do not want to work with another culture, it is their prerogative. Ideally, companies and countries should work on win-win projects where both parties benefit. A good example of this is Nylon, which was a joint venture based on groups in New York, hence the term NY, and London, LON. If we run into a win-lose scenario whereby one party benefits at the expense of another, this becomes an unhealthy relationship. Whereas nationalism promotes win-win situation, globalization allows for a win-lose. And frankly, America is tired of being taken for granted and asked to pay the bill all the time. Globalization involves the cultural integration of trade, capital, and immigration among the countries of the world. This tends to force countries to lose their identity and become subservient to others. Again, nationalism respects the sovereignty of a country. From this perspective, French President Macron is dead wrong. Patriotism, which involves the love of country, is promoted by nationalism, not globalization. If anything, globalization is a deterrent to patriotism. There is nothing wrong with forming coalitions for different endeavors, such as the United Nations, NATO, the Organization of American States, the European Union, etc. It is when win-lose relationships form and one country must dance to the fiddle of another that discord erupts. Think about it. As citizens, does our allegiance rest with the United Nations or the United States? Frankly, I do not understand why this is a difficult concept to grasp. Nationalism does not prohibit us from coming to the aid of our friends, as we have demonstrated for many years. However, when a friendship is abused and a financial burden added, it is time to ask why. Nationalism is not the enemy. Being asked to relinquish our sovereignty is. Friends, keep the faith. This is Tim Bryce in Palm Harbor, Florida. Follow me on the internet at timbryce.com.